this is the most consequential election in many ways for this country, not just for New York and not just for the Northeast. If Mandami wins this election, Zohran Mamdani, a well-known, frankly, anti-Israel advocate who believes that the Intifada should be internationalized if possible, and his apologists say, well, he really doesn't mean it, but those of us who know something about history know that Intifada means buses blown up in Jerusalem, means body parts of Jews all over the streets and splattered onto walls, people murdered because they're Jews. For those of us who understand this, we understand who Zohran Mamdani really is and what he really means. But for the rest of the country, what will happen is if he wins this race in New York, we will see many Mandamis around the country. They will be attacking the state of Israel, which means they're attacking Jews, whether these silly liberal Jews believe it or not. And the economies of those cities will be turned into, frankly, recruiting grounds and what's a good word? Places where the socialist movement will grow. Anybody who thinks differently needs to go online and look at the Democratic Socialists of America website, because you see, Mandami is not a Democrat. He is a Democrat socialist. And what the Democrat socialists have figured out is that the Democratic Party is a dead animal. And like all things that are dead, you have to plan something and to keep them going. Why is it important? Because in most states in the country, you cannot get on the ballot as a third party. It is almost impossible. Democrats and Republicans, yes. Third parties, very, very tough. So if you want to get on the ballot, run as a Democrat. And if you have a dead Democrat party, you can take over that carcass. That's what they're doing. Why not vote for Mandami? Let's forget about the fact that he's obviously an anti-Semite, obviously hates Jews, certainly hates the Jewish state. Certainly his father has been a major theorist about destroying the Jewish state, saying publicly and in his work that this is a neo-colonialist effort, although we have been there longer than any other grouping. Going back to, let's see, 3,500 years would be right. And we fought the Davidic Wars in 125 BC. Regardless, this tripe that they spout is part of an international movement to get the Jews out of the Middle East for one reason, because of Arab humiliation of having lost these wars to the Jews going back to the beginning of our time. But take that aside. Mandami wins this election. He will first inherit a city government that is in very serious condition financially. He'll be part of a state that, as a governor of sorts, one of the people of governance that has significant financial problems. He will be ridding the city of significant numbers of taxpayers because our future isn't here. And anybody who doubts this needs to look at the outflow of jobs, particularly from the financial sector to the Dallas-Fort Worth corridor area, and even in Tennessee. This has been going on for quite some time. So New York is at the edge now, tipping point. Mandami will very much is likely to put it over the edge. And the New York that we know, the Jewish New York, will be gone. It's just a matter of time. Even demographers will tell you, frankly, that if we're lucky in 20 years, there will be 500,000 Jews left in New York. Now, one could say that's a good reason then to vote for him and to get out of town. Some might feel that way. The better thing to do for democracy and for this great country that has given us so very much is to vote for Andrew Cuomo, even if you don't like him. Hold your nose. Forget about Curtis Sliwa, who is not going to be the mayor, although he's having a great time and you have to give him credit. Here's a guy who never thought he'd be driven around, I think, in a Cadillac Escalante with security people and be able to eat lunch every day, great places, and be seen as some kind of savior, which he isn't. Mandami has more public experience than Sliwa does. Sliwa has never been running a government agency or been elected to public office in any way, shape, or form. But we need Andrew Cuomo to be in that office for one reason. For many reasons, but one of the reasons that people on this pod who are viewing this should pay attention to is to stop the anti-Semitism and to ensure that the police department is not ripped apart. Mandami will destroy the school safety agents. Those around him believe that they should. People like Brad Lander, who've been against school safety agents since the beginning, regardless of the fact that in New York City schools, 7,000 weapons were picked up last year alone by school safety personnel. Children in the last couple of weeks have been found with 9mm guns in their backpacks. Children have been shot outside schools, but that doesn't matter to Brad Lander. No school safety agents. So you'll see a diminution of school safety agents. Thank God that Jessica Tisch has been able to restore the police department in New York City at some level to having enough patrol officers to get through the next several years. But you will see a rash of retirements in the police department, which will destabilize things and make it more difficult for people to walk the streets. And that has international implications. So there's a lot at risk here and not much to gain. Zohran Mamdani will be 34 years old when he assumes office, if he wins. Anti-Semite, who seeks the destruction of the state of Israel and who believes he can make an affordable New York, which, New York has never been affordable, quite frankly. is very difficult, but it is very difficult for people who are trying to make it to live there, unquestionably so. But putting this guy in power, as opposed to someone who knows how to manage, which is Andrew Cuomo, 11 on-time budgets, rebuilt 2 airports, open the Second Avenue subway, the list goes on. That is not a choice that people even have to think about.